In my book, Holistic Road to Healthy Relationships, I coined the term traumatic emotional overlay to explain a phenomenon that people have where an event earlier in our lives continues to play out in our current circumstances. A lot of times when people are in the treatment room, we start talking and I'll mention something, all of a sudden maybe they'll start crying, they'll start getting upset, and I'll ask them what's wrong and they'll say, oh my gosh, I thought I had dealt with that. That's a very common experience. If they've had some kind of an emotional trauma early in life, it doesn't have to be a big deal, though it often is. It has to be something where all of a sudden our system was overwhelmed. We were not able to process the event that occurred. It can be abuse, it can be neglect, it can be some kind of an environmental crisis, a house fire, it can be divorce in a family. Those things set up a traumatic effect inside of our system. Our body's not able to handle it. Our emotions are not capable or mature enough or healthy enough to handle that stress. So it gets stuck in our bodies. And what happens is it just stays there and it clouds our perspective. We can't see life as it really is because this traumatic emotional overlay is always operating inside of our system. Oftentimes people will try to resolve them through talk therapy, which can be useful to an extent. Sometimes that's not enough. And then I think structural body work, energetic type work is very, very helpful in trying to bring about a full resolution of those stuck energetic forms that I call traumatic emotional overlays. I personally found that people can often talk about it for years and never completely resolve it. I see this in the clinic when somebody comes in and I'll just ask them a question, or maybe I'll touch their shoulder in a treatment series and they'll start having some strong emotion, they'll start tearing up, and I'll ask them what's wrong and they'll say, well, this event happened and I thought I'd worked on it. I thought I'd worked it through. I thought I'd dealt with that. Those are the statements that are common. And yet their body really hasn't been able to release it. At some level they become aware of it through therapeutic talk, but their body is still holding that pattern. Until the body is allowed to release that on a very primal energetic level, that traumatic emotional overlay is still there and it's still operating. You can bet that it's inside your physical body in some form. It can set up a pattern that allows you to live in a less than ideal way. If you were abused as a child, for example, often you'll continue to set yourself up in relationships and situations that allow you to keep being abused in some form or fashion. If you were neglected at some point, or if you were abandoned at some point, you'll look back and you'll find that you keep recreating these traumatic emotional overlays throughout your life until they're really looked at and addressed. It makes it impossible to see exactly what it is and how it's working in your life. Almost always we have to have somebody help us look at this because it's too deep in us. It's too personal. It's been with us too long for us to have any kind of objective view on it. They create so much misery because it shuts us off as a human being. It keeps us from being who we really are. It keeps us from being as healthful as we could be. It keeps us from sharing with other people. And it's one of those things that you don't have to continue to live with. There is a way to resolve it.